If you're like me, the world just felt, well, fundamentally different after 2020, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. There was this collective experience, a real reminder of how fragile we are.
Fragile, yeah, and tender, but also just so interconnected.
Definitely. And it sort of exposed this gap, I think, between how we were living our lives and maybe what we truly longed for.
Exactly. And it left this big question hanging in the air, didn't it? A really powerful, persistent one.
That's right. The question that kept coming up again and again in so many conversations since then is basically, okay, how do we actually step into this new awareness?
Yeah, how do we live differently now? Not just on our own, but, together.
Precisely. And that's really the whole point of this deep dive today. We want to explore three, let's call them arts of living, or maybe life-giving practices.
Okay, arts of living. I like that.
Yeah, and these have really emerged consistently from, well, over 2 decades of insights and observations and just deep talks with people whose lives, really seem to carry wisdom.
So these aren't just ideas then?
No, not at all. They're practical. Sometimes subtle, but practical ways to navigate this time we're in, this time of remaking. Ways to notice what really matters and maybe contribute winningfully.
Okay, great. Let's dive into these then. The first one, well, we all know one story pretty well, right?
Mm-hmm. Which one is that?
The story of, collapse, crisis everywhere, dysfunction, feeling disconnected, that whole narrative.
Right, the dominant narrative.
And let's be really clear, that narrative, it feels very real. You see it in the headlines, you feel it in daily life.
Yeah.
It's definitely there.
It is absolutely real. But what our sources consistently show and what we've seen over these years is that, well, it's not the whole story.
Okay, so what's missing?
Well, parallel to all that chaos and breakdown, there's actually another reality quietly unfolding. It's one of healing, creativity, and really courageous service.
Can you give some examples?
Yeah, sure. Our observations show just countless people really actively tending to what's broken, even inside systems that seem, fundamentally flawed.
Like what kind of things?
Well, think about retired teachers we've seen quietly tutoring immigrant kids after school, or neighborhood groups turning these forgotten derelict lots into actual vibrant community gardens.
Okay, I can picture that.
Or even tech professionals building, say, open source tools for disaster relief, working quietly behind the scenes. These are the healers, the bridge builders, the social creatives. They're everywhere if you look.
Those are powerful examples. It makes you wonder, though, if this positive, this generative story is really happening all around us. Why does it feel so invisible sometimes?
Yeah.
Why isn't that the story we're always talking about?
That's a really good question. And honestly, a lot of it boils down to just how our brains are wired.
So.
They're primarily designed for survival, right? Not necessarily for seeking out joy or noticing the good. Our default is often to scan for threats, for what's wrong.
So we're kind of hardwired for the negative news.
Yeah. To some extent, yes. Which means if we want to genuinely see this other story, this generative one, we have to be intentional about it. We have to consciously retrain our gaze.
Retrain our gaze.
Yeah.
It means actively looking for the good, like
Yeah.
really looking. And when you see it, taking it in, naming it, acknowledging the hopeful, the life-giving, the generative stuff.
So it's like developing a new habit.
Exactly. Think of it as putting on a generative lens. Our sources even suggest practical things like keeping a little generative log, just a small notebook.
What would you put in it?
Just jot down tiny instances of connection or courage or creativity that you notice during your day.
Yeah.
Anything. It's really about making the positive visible to yourself first. Because this positive story, it's just as real. And it absolutely deserves our intentional attention.
That makes a lot of sense. Shifting our perception intentionally. Okay. So building on that, this idea of intentional focus, our sources also point to another key approach, right? Especially for navigating uncertainty. Yes, and it's one that kind of pushes back against our world's obsession with having quick answers for everything.
Oh yeah, the hot takes, the instant opinions.
Exactly that. So this second life-giving practice is quite different. It's simply live the question.
Live the question.
That's a really profound idea. The poet Rainer Maria Rilke, he wrote about this beautifully. He said, "Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart. Try to love the questions themselves, like locked rooms or books written in a very foreign tongue."
Wow. Love the questions themselves.
Yeah. And the power in that is, well, questions open us up, don't they? They invite humility, they invite new perspective. Totally unlike fixed answers, which can sometimes make us rigid, closed off.
That's true. Answers can feel like dead ends sometimes.
They can. And if you think about the biggest challenges we face right now, climate change, systemic inequality, technology's impact, finding meaning these aren't simple problems with easy answers.
No, definitely not.
They are vast, aching, open questions. And maybe, just maybe, instead of trying to force answers we don't actually have yet, we're being called to sort of live inside these questions for a while. Let them unfold.
I know I've felt that pressure.
Yeah.
To have the answer, to fix things quickly. So this idea of just sitting with the questions, I really like that. It feels like permission.
It is, in a way.
So here's maybe an invitation for you, listening right now. Think about a question that's kind of been following you around. Maybe it's something like, how can I actually make a difference? Or where do I even begin with all this complexity? Or maybe just, what's mine to do here?
Yeah, those big core questions.
Right. Take one of those, maybe write it down, carry it with you like Rogue suggests,
Yeah.
and just let it shape your choices, guide where you look, inform your very next step, even if it's a small one.
Yes. And our sources, the wisdom we've gathered, it really shows that when you truly live the question, well, it just might live you into the answer eventually.
Live you into the answer. That's a powerful way to put it.
Right.
So that's living the questions. Now, moving to the third practice you mentioned, let's talk about vocation.
Ah, yes. Vocation.
It's a word most of us probably connect directly with our jobs, right? Our careers. Like, what's your vocation? It means, what do you do for work?
That's definitely the common, maybe narrower understanding today. You're right.
Yeah.
But the Latin root, vocare, it simply means to call.
To call. No.
And what we've really learned from all these decades of insights and listening is that you're calling. It's so much bigger, so much more expansive than just your job title.
How so? What else is included?
Well, you are called, for instance, to be a friend who really listens. That's a calling. You're called to be a neighbor who, I don't know, organizes a potluck or checks in on someone.
Right.
Or a parent nurturing growth, a citizen showing up for a town meeting,
Right.
a lover of the world who tends a small patch of earth. These are all profound vocations, and often that's where real wisdom is found, in those roles.
And listening to these conversations, you're saying there's maybe a sense of a collective calling emerging now, too. Something bigger.
Yes, something that seems to be weaving through all these different parts of our lives. It's this call towards wholeness.
Wholeness. Okay, that sounds big. What does that actually mean in practice? Because wholeness could mean a lot of things.
That's a really important clarification, and our sources are clear. Wholeness definitely doesn't mean perfection. It's not about becoming less strange or messy or trying to smooth out all your edges,
Okay, good. That's a relief.
isn't it? Instead, it seems to be about consciously choosing where you put your life force, your imagination, your energy, orienting it toward what is genuinely life-giving rather than what might be death-dealing or depleting.
So investing in the positive, the growing things.
Exactly. It's about cultivating whole lives, yes, but also whole communities and whole ways of being human, ways rooted in compassion, real relationship, and mutual care.
Can you give an example of that in a community?
Sure, we've seen communities pooling resources to create local, sustainable food systems, maybe moving away from dependence on fragile supply chains, or individuals deciding to dedicate their skills, say in tech or engineering, towards regenerative agriculture instead of more extractive industries. That's choosing wholeness.
Choosing life-giving systems.
Yes, and, science is now confirming what poets and mystics, frankly, have always told us. Life is deeply interconnected. You can't separate the parts. Healing in one area absolutely affects the whole system.
And there's something unique about our time related to that.
Well, yes. For perhaps the first time in human history, our technology actually allows us to act and think as a truly global species. We can see the whole planet, communicate instantly across it. That presents an incredible calling towards wholeness, but also a pretty significant responsibility, too.
Yeah, that interconnection is undeniable now.
So if we kind of zoom out and connect all these threads, what years and years of these deep conversations have really highlighted is something quite profound.
What's that?
It's that wisdom and this sense of wholeness we're talking about. They often show up in the most paradoxical places.
Paradoxical.
How? Right where opposites seem to meet and touch. Think about it. Power coexisting with frailty. Deep pain alongside resilient hope. Holding mystery and conviction at the same time. seeing brokenness and beauty woven together.
Ah, okay. In the tension between things.
Exactly. It seems to be in those very tensions, those places where things feel complicated and not easily resolved, that the most profound insights tend to arise. That's where the growth happens.
That's a really fascinating insight. Not avoiding the tension, but meeting it. So maybe here's a final thought then for you, our listener, something to kind of mull over.
Please.
Based on everything we've discussed, it seems we don't actually need to wait. We don't need perfect clarity or, some guarantee of safety before we begin to engage with these shifts, with these practices.
No, waiting isn't really the call.
We could just begin right where we are.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of the tension of these times, holding on to the questions that are calling to us. And maybe most importantly, we can begin together.
Beautifully put. That captures it. We begin in the tension. We begin with the questions.
We begin together.